Greetings everyone, and welcome to another edition of BlastCast. Of course, I am Jarvis. With me as always is the guy with better audio quality, myself, Lightning Dragon. In the background, of course, I'm not running any new footage this week. I actually went into the Persistent Universe to capture some footage today for the show, but there was a weird bug. I would summon my ship, you get the little indicator, and you turn around and it would despawn your ship and put it back in the hangar. In fact, Olisar was full of people saying, I can't get my ship. So, sorry about the stock footage, but it'll have to do for now. Now, last week we talked about the bikes and their ability to fly, and the overwhelming response, not only in the comments section, but on the forums, has been along the lines of, don't make them fly. I think people don't really want this feature, and it's good to see that that's something, for the most part, we can agree on. A lot of times you suggest something like that, and the flames have come right down on your head.
Well, what was it? Was it Blizzard that said that you don't know what you want?
Yeah, exactly. They're taking they should not take the Blizzard approach on this. You don't know what you don't know what you want. We know what you want. That really worked out well for them. And now there's vanilla WoW servers.
Yeah, hey, did you hear about that? Vanilla WoW servers. Interesting. I wonder if it's because that whole private vanilla server that was really popular, and they weren't happy about it because that was money that they weren't getting.
Alright, so down below I'm going to leave you a link to a channel called Lawful Masses with Leonard French. He does a breakdown on the lawsuit between Crytek and CIG, where he goes over the intricacies. He's a lawyer. He talks about what they're trying to do here. From what he says, basically, it's a quick summary because it is an hour-long video, is that it looks like there's just a lot of hyperbolic wording. For the most part, he thinks it looks like they're trying to do an out-of-court settlement, and it probably will not even be for a really excessive amount. As far as the copyright claim goes, he says from what he understands, the copyright claim is very thin. At most, it would be breach of contract along the lines of with the CryEngine, either with the updates or whatnot. But there was no response from CIG that he could refer to what their statements are in regard to that. So he's looking only from one side right now, and I guess he'd probably do an update later when he gets the other document, when CIG submits theirs. But he says, for the most part, it doesn't look like it's something I would really put a lot of worry into as far as the state of the game. So yeah, check that out if you want to go ahead and learn more about it. Really, really interesting. Of course, the forums are on fire now with tons of threads started by a bunch of people I've never even seen before, concerned about the flight model, and just basically saying how the flight model feels very off, or upset about the atmospheric flight model, or even just in general coming into 3.0 for the first time and not happy with a lot of the control interfaces and things like that. So, as Lightning and I, we talked about this a while ago, Lightning. We had mentioned that, when 3.0 comes out, the forums are just going to light up when it goes live, because there's going to be a lot of people stepping into this game for the first time that have really just kind of waited until now to start playing the game, and they're going to get their hands on it and go, WTF.
And this is not even in the public thing. Well, it is public test, but it's limited still, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still limited. It's on Wave 2.
Yeah, so, I mean, this isn't even the we're ready to give it to everybody right now. It's still the we're only ready to give it to a couple people, and we're not sure what the order of releasing it is. Like, I might be in, I might not be in, but, as I've said before, I really don't care. I don't want to play the game until it's, able to be played for more than 1 to 2 hours at a time without crashing.
That's true. And right now, like I said, I can't even summon up my ship, so that's not something I could see really wanting to jump into anyway. So yeah, as this gets ready to go live, I guess the best suggestion I can make is buy some stock in popcorn, maybe Jiffy Time, and get ready for a very entertaining series of weeks on the old general forum chat.
Or you can go get yourself some, what is it? It's Hershey's bar, the chocolate bars, and some marshmallows and some graham crackers.
I knew you were going on the s'mores line.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
All right, and I had a post from, actually a comment from one of the subscribers here, Gary2. I just want to thank you for the link. And I'll have that down below as well, about the Netcode Drama. And as I was kind of reading through it, one comment stood out to me in there, and he said basically CIG was saying that the frame rate issues aren't coming. The netcode isn't affecting the GPU and whatnot. So this guy was looking at it, and he says, this is kind of a semi quote here, but potentially a problem with the client side calling of network data. Remember before they were talking about how they wanted to have the container system where you had it wouldn't transmit outside of a certain area. So like you were in a large box, anything outside that box, your game wouldn't care about. It wouldn't get updates on. For the most part, from what a lot of people are talking about, it sounds like there's a problem with that right now, and the game is actually transmitting maybe every little detail about the entire game and all the moons and everything else. The soda can on Rigel 10 or something, and it's got to let you know everything out there, which is causing the bog down. So hopefully they can get that fixed. If they do get this system up and running, I think that's going to be a big boon to the frame rates across the galaxy. There was one other commenter in there that was talking about how he had a very expensive rig and his wife had a very average costing rig, just very kind of on the low end, and they were getting the exact same frame rate. So it's something going on there that needs to be hashed out. So I was going to go about 17 today.
I have mentioned this before. I'm pretty sure in recording, and I said it to you just before we started recording, but I'll say it again just so the people that haven't heard it can hear it again. So many years ago, when I had other friends besides just Jarvis, they told me about Neverwinter, the one by BioWare, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I had never played a game like that before, and I think I had like extra money for like a birthday or something, so I got it and I played it with them. And it's a game that I've still play off and on. And when they Obsidian did the remake of BioWare or whatever, the Neverwinter Nights, and they made Neverwinter Nights 2, they took the base engine and kind of overhauled it a bit, because as far as I know, the base engine was pretty good, considering that it still runs to this day. And there was a broken code that they had found. This is the story I remember from back when it was released, and it was regarding netcode. And what it was some kind of like update script. So like if your character walked over to this other room and you went into a transition or whatever, so what it did is it was something that told everyone else on the server where you are and what you were doing, and it was broken in some way. And they were like, well, that's weird. It's been broken this whole time, yet it still plays online, because you can play the original game online, no problem. And so they, quote-unquote, fixed it, so it did what it was intended to do. And what happened is it was sending information all the time, updating everybody on the server about like where they were and what they were doing. And you couldn't have, I think it was between like 5 and 10 players, depending on the computers that were playing and the internet connection speeds that everybody had, where if you had more than 5 people and like at most 10, you'd start noticing the lag, and it would just slowly become unplayably bad, and they'd have to like restart the servers. And when the game first came out, everyone was completely baffled. It's like, I can't believe for the original game that played so well online, and you go to this one, and it's just totally destroyed and awful. It's completely worthless for the people that only bought it for the online. And I don't know if they ever fixed it, but I think as a temporary solution, they actually went in and basically broke that line of code again, so it stopped working and played more like the original one. And then, oh, hey, you can have up to 40 people on the servers now. Whoa, what are the odds? And it sounds like exactly what's going on with the CIG right now. Is there some kind of script that wants to update everybody on the server when it doesn't need to?
Yeah, and they'll get that hammered out, I'm sure. I mean, it's just, that's a lot of code to go through. But it does make it really hard to do anything in the meantime. And as I said, testers out there, it can be frustrating sometimes. And today I wasn't frustrated so much by the frame rate, but by the inability to get a vehicle. All right, and of course, one of our subscribers here, MHE, he's actually gone ahead and sent me some information here. I'll go ahead and show that on the screen. They're still using IFCS to basically ramp down overly charged fake values. If you look at example here at the Cutlass, the acceleration for the pitch, roll, and yaw is listed as 800 degrees per second, which is really fast for pitch, yaw, and roll. And he was doing some breakdowns for me as well, still on the acceleration values the ships have, and some of them pushing like 16, 17 Gs just on straightforward acceleration on a forward base or whatnot. So yeah, this stuff hasn't been changed yet. Now, remember we were talking about this a while ago when I did the breakdown of the flight model video, how that basically they're using the IFCS to ramp down overcharged values, and that hopefully with Item System 2.0 coming out with with 3.0 that they would stop doing that and just give us actual values within reason, and then the system would just work with those. But it looks like we're very much still dealing with these overcharged values. Now, I don't know if that's because 2.0 is not fully set up for this, or if they just decided to keep going on this road. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of work for the game to have to take really over-the-top values, then translate them down per ship based upon the ship parameters, and then go ahead and reincorporate that back into the way. It's just weird. It's just weird. To me, it makes more sense just to have the ships perform the way they're supposed to at the power levels they're supposed to, and then have the game deal with that.
That would be too much work, and they would have to like program a flight model. What are you talking about?
Well, that kind of comes down to a little bit what I kind of want to talk about too. Mostly when they were showing this week's Around the Verse with the atmospheric flight model, there was a section in there that kind of bugged the living crap out of me. They showed a starfarer diving straight down into the planet at a 90-degree angle. And first of all, no, because that would, that's not the way you want to enter any planet's atmosphere. But they talked about how they boosted or enhanced the retro thrusters to well past the levels of the main engines even, so that you could stop the ship and not hit the planet. Well, here's my thoughts on that. Don't fly like a moron, and you won't crash into a planet. This whole thing of I don't understand what the thinking is here, basically, where we're going to take the responsibility out of the player's hands of making bad decisions. If you're going to land on a planet, try not entering in at a death spiral. Okay, now if you want to do that, I do own a reclaimer. I'm more than happy to go ahead and follow you. That would be very, very helpful for my financial situation. But the developers need to stop hand-holding the players for every little thing. Like they talked about with the bikes, how that, if there's a rock coming up, for the most part, unless it's a building or an out-and-out mountain pretty much in your face, the bike is just going to automatically get around it or whatnot. This disconnect between everything's got to be made so it's. I feel like we're playing bumper. What's that? Bumper bowling. No one can gutter ball it. It's one of those things that all you have to do is just throw the ball down the aisle and something's gonna. Oh
yeah, there's no gutter ball options. The gutter is actually walled off. It's for when you're learning how to bowl.
Exactly. This disconnect makes me feel like, for the most part, and I mentioned this a long time ago, and I not an option that I want, because I want to see everyone play the same thing. I still think at this point in time, with this mentality, they need to just have an arcade server and a sim server, because I am absolutely just everything.
Do you think that they can even make an arcade or a sim server? Because I don't think they have the ability, and I'm not just throwing shade for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, quote, they need to get some actual flight sim developers and things like that into the mix to do it. But I mean, this kind of bumper bowling version of Star Citizen is the exact opposite of what Chris Roberts talked about. Like, oh, well, we want a game that's challenging and hard like Dark Souls, and I guess his version must have everyone has Nerf bats and Nerf swords and
Well, all the enemies have Nerf bats and Nerf swords anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it's one of those things that the hand-holding needs to stop. Player consequence is an important part of video games. Bad decisions should have bad results. You should just come in 90 degrees straight down on a Starfarer, activate your super turbo retro thrusters, which are more powerful than the mains, come to a complete stop, park on your nose, and get out and get a beer. Because that is completely destructive of the concept of immersion, in my opinion. Now, there's a lot of people, of course, defending on the forums saying, you know, because Future Tech or Abracadabra, this is what we're seeing a lot of, is people who haven't played yet or are playing for the first time. They're coming in and they're like, a lot of them don't have a lot of technical information, but they're just general statements. It doesn't feel right. Something's wrong here. I don't feel like I'm flying a ship. And they need to fix that, because when people who aren't into the nitty-gritty of it are coming in for the first time and just going, it feels wrong, you know, that's the general impression people are going to have when they play your game or they review your game or whatever when it comes out, is that it just doesn't feel right. That's not going to be, you know, that's not, you know, conducive to a long lifespan game, or even one that's going to do well selling to people who haven't backed. Now, I did have a request from a subscriber to do an interview with John Pritchett. I'm going to give some thoughts on that and see how I'd want to approach that. I believe I found his handle on Twitter, so I might contact him that way. I was given a Facebook address for him, but I don't use Facebook, so it's one of those things that I'll try to go this route instead. And but just as a kind of interesting thought, if there was a question that you wanted to ask John Pritchett, what would that be? Leave that down below, because, you know, I've never done an interview with anyone before. This would be completely something new to me, and I'm not saying it's even going to happen. In fact, if anyone at CIG knows this channel, they probably would, you know, grab him and say, "No, don't do it."
Glue it.
But it's one of those things that
screw it.
No, so I would be highly doubtful that they would even have him on this channel. But I'll still try to give it a shot after I give it some thought about what it is I want to ask him specifically. And that's kind of why I want to ask your help to find out what you want to know. All right. So also as well, I want to let you know that if there's ever something you want to discuss more in person, more in depth, feel free to contact me in the comment section down below or on Twitter, and I can give you a Discord link, or I can go ahead and bring you in and we can just talk about whatever. So I have a permanent guest channel set up now, and while I could just throw the address out here, I feel that would probably just well, I imagine, I don't know how busy that would be, but I just want to get people in there who actually want to have something to talk about instead of someone coming in and just making fart noises or something.
So this is for everybody that stays to the very end of the video, because, you know, that's
not
true. It's not as common as you might think.
That's true. In fact, that was one of the reasons I put it at the end of the video, not to mention it. All right, guys. So not a lot of news this week. Not a lot of stuff going on. Just a lot of concerns in general about the direction of the game. The hand-holding, I said, is just really bothering me. This idea that, you know, you're just, doesn't matter what you do, CIG's there with a parachute to save you from yourself. And I just, speaking of which, we don't even have parachutes yet, but whatever. Anywho, guys, that's about everything for this week's show. I don't think there's going to be a Citizen's Corner this week. There was a lot of positive comments, no real questions. Don't get me wrong, I love reading your comments. But we may do something else along the way. I might do another State of the Game live play session if I can actually get ships to summon later on this week. But we'll see what happens. It's all in flux. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye, everybody.